Hello, this is our first lesson about infection control. And in this first lesson, we're going to try to understand what infection is. Well, you know that we have a multiplicity of bacterial species on the surface of the skin and in the gut. But in order for these bacteria to become infectious, there are certain conditions. The most important condition for a bacterium or an organism in general to be infectious and to cause infection is to penetrate your body cells. In this diagram, for example, you can see that we have a chain of spherical bacteria, and these bacteria succeeded in making a hole in the skin and in penetrating the skin surface. Of course, this picture is an electron microscopic picture in which the skin cells, the surface cells, are enlarged to a great extent so that we can see individual cells, and we can also see the hole through which the bacteria penetrated to the inside of the body. So at any time, if there is invasion of the body cells or even the body fluids, because sometimes when the bacteria penetrate through your skin, they reach the tissues underneath the skin, and then they reach the blood and the body fluids. So if they reach the body cells, the inside of the body cells, if they penetrate through the cell membrane and reach the cells and the fluids, then they have caused infection. And you have been infected by those organisms. Not only do they penetrate, but they also succeed in increasing their number, in growing in number, and in multiply. And usually these organisms are not normally present on the surface of the body, neither on the surface of the body nor inside the body cavities, but most of the time these are exogenous bacteria that are not your normal microbiome, that are not your normal bacterial flora, although sometimes your friendly bacterial flora under certain conditions. For example, when your immune system gets weaker, they might become infectious. But infection does not only include invasion of body cells and fluids by organisms and multiplication of those organisms, but it also includes how your body reacts to these organisms, because most of the time, infection is associated not only with penetration, but with a reaction from the part of the body, and the reaction is usually inflammation. And in inflammation, as we studied in the first semester, there are certain chemicals that are released in the body due to the penetration, because when the organisms penetrate the cells, they cause injury to the cells. And injury to the cell will cause the release of certain chemicals, and those chemicals cause the reaction of the body, which is pain at the site, swelling at the site, redness at the site of penetration, and all these are symptoms and signs of inflammation, as you know. These are local reactions, meaning that they are reactions at the site of penetration, but there are also systemic reactions. And when we say systemic, we mean they affect the body systems, and usually systemic reactions of infection include fever and generalized body aches or pains. And we have all experienced fever and pain during influenza and common cold. There is a slight difference between an infective organism and an infectious organism. When we say that an organism is infective, this just means that the organism is capable of causing infection. But when we say that the causing infection to a particular individual, but when we say that the organism is infectious, this means that the organism can be transmitted from one individual to another. For example, when you cough or when you sneeze and there are droplets of saliva that arise from your mouth cavity or from your nose, they will be inhaled or transmitted to another organism's respiratory tract, and they would cause infection. And this means that this organism is capable of being transmitted from one person to another, from one individual, from one host to another. So it is a contagious or an infectious organism. Actually, as we have watched in the video, we have a huge number of bacteria or of flora in our microbiome on the surface of our skin or inside our body cavities. And research papers say that the number varies between the number of your body cells varies between 37 to 100 trillion cells. Of course, this variation depends on your age and the size of your body. But if we come to the bacteria, we will find that your gut alone contains 100 trillion bacteria, which means that bacteria in your gut are very dense. There is a huge number of bacteria in every a cubic millimeter of your gut space. So if you know that your skin is covered by 1.5 trillion bacteria and your gut contains 100 trillion bacteria, which means a total of 102 trillion bacteria, then it is noticeable that the number of bacteria exceeds the number of cells. So we can say that you as a human being, if we consider you and your the human microbiome over you and inside you, you are more bacteria than cells. And bacterial genes will be the number of bacterial genes is a huge number. We cannot say that it exceeds human genes because the genome and the genes of the bacteria are very simple and small in number, but we can say that we have trillions of or a huge diversity of bacterial genes. All bacterial genes on the surface of your body and inside the body cavity form what we call your microbiome. So microbiome actually does not refer to the bacteria themselves, but by definition, it refers to the gene pool of all the bacteria that are associated with your human body. There are bacteria that are linked to your skin that have been adapted to live on the surface of your skin, and there are other bacteria that have been linked to your gut to live inside the alimentary canal, especially in the large intestine. Those bacteria that are associated normally with your human body are called bacterial flora. If we consider the intestinal flora, because they are, as we said before, the most dense population of bacteria that are associated with your body, these flora can be divided into friendly flora that do not cause you any harm, or even they might be beneficial flora. And there is another group of intestinal flora that are harmful flora. In order for a human being to be healthy, the number of friendly and beneficial bacteria should predominate. And usually the ratio of friendly bacteria to pathogenic bacteria should be around 85 to 50. Those friendly flora or friendly bacteria help you by doing certain important functions. The first function is to produce vitamins, especially as we said before, in our study of the digestive system, we have vitamins B and vitamins K, and they also produce organic acids. As we said before, organic means that must contain carbon and hydrogen. An acid, this is a substance that produces hydrogen ions in the solution. These substances, the vitamins from one side and the organic acids from another side, are important for many things. First of all, they are important for you to have an intact epithelium or endothelium of the gut. Is this important? Yes, this is important for many reasons. And on top of these reasons is to absorb food adequately. If you have a healthy gut epithelium, so you can absorb food well. The second importance is that these vitamins and organic acids that are produced in the cavity of the colon can reach the bloodstream, and from the bloodstream they can reach the liver, and they are very useful for the functions of the liver or for adequate functioning of the liver. Even when the liver is diseased, when one of the most important support factors for the liver for the function of the liver is the different types of vitamins. First of all, organic acids in particular can suppress the growth of harmful pathogenic bacteria. This is the third importance. So we have number one, the gut epithelium, and then number two, the function of the liver, and number three, to suppress or to diminish the function of harmful pathogenic bacteria. By the way, the friendly flora, if you have a friendly, non-harmful, or even beneficial flora, this friendly flora is useful not only because it secretes substances that will kill the harmful bacterium or the pathogen, but as we said yesterday, just by occupying space in the colon or in the gut cavity, it will not allow the pathogenic bacteria to flourish. So what happens if the reverse occurs? We have said that useful bacteria should be 85% of the whole population of bacteria. If the opposite occurs and the harmful bacteria predominate, then first of all, we will lose the function of the useful bacteria. The useful organic acids and vitamins will not be produced. Not only this, but in addition to missing those useful nutrients, the harmful bacteria will produce toxic substances. And you might not notice the effect of these harmful pathogenic bacteria and their toxic products on the spot, but their cumulative effect will result in delayed results. By delayed results, we mean complications that will occur later on. And among these products that might cause you these late complications, we have products of putrefaction of food. And here by putrefaction, we mean fermentation of food. We mean the anaerobic breakdown of food. By fermentation, we mean anaerobic breakdown of food. So the products of putrefaction or fermentation of food are toxic to the body. And that's why people who have long-standing constipation or chronic constipation, having the stools staying inside the colonic cavity for a long period of time, might have these fermentation products accumulate in the colon and be toxic to the body because they will be absorbed into the blood and cause toxic effect. These pathogenic bacteria also produce chemicals that are toxic to the cells, in addition to the products of food fermentation. By the way, food fermentation by bacteria is not per se is not harmful. It is useful because it helps you digest food stuff that your enzymes of digestion cannot digest. But if they stay in the body for a long period of time, they are converted into toxic products, and some of them are toxic from the very beginning. We also have carcinogens, and a carcinogen is a substance that can cause cancer. All these products, A, B, and C, are produced by harmful bacteria in the body. When I talk about useful fermentation, I mean useful fermentation by friendly flora. But the fermentation that occurs by pathogenic bacteria is always harmful. What are the delayed effects of harmful bacterial flora? These toxins that are produced by the harmful bacterial flora can result in aging. You might be asking yourself, aging is a natural process that occurs to every individual at a certain age. But here we mean premature aging, meaning that you have symptoms and signs of aging or getting older or senility while you're still young. So this is one delayed effect of harmful bacterial flora. Of course, the liver will be affected and you would have liver diseases. You might have cancer because of these carcinogenic products. Your kidney function might be affected. Furthermore, you might suffer from atherosclerosis. And by atherosclerosis, we mean stiffness of the walls of the arteries. So atherosclerosis is stiffness of the arterial wall, and the stiffness of the arterial wall might lead to hypertension or elevation of the blood pressure. Your immune system will also be weakened and you will have reduced immunity. Of course, there are a multiplicity of pathogenic bacteria in the colon, and we do not know exactly which species causes exactly which complication. So if all these complications occur when the pathogenic bacteria predominate, then what is the cause of this imbalance? What might cause the pathogenic bacteria to be predominating and to increase in number and override the useful bacteria? Number one, aging. So aging is a cause of the imbalance, and aging is a result of the imbalance, as we have said before. Number two, a poor diet. The more you eat of unhealthy food and the more you eat of junk food, the more you nourish pathogenic bacteria inside the body, because the type of food you eat will determine what type of bacteria will grow inside your body. If you eat healthy food, you nurture healthy bacteria. If you eat unhealthy food, then you will nurture unhealthy bacteria. Furthermore, the emotional stress. Whenever you are continuously under stress, this disturbs the ratio of healthy to pathogenic bacteria and is in favor of pathogenic bacteria overriding. Furthermore, antibiotic therapy. When you take antibiotics, for example, to treat a sore throat, these antibiotics might kill a good deal of useful friendly bacteria that are present in your gut. Number five, immune disorders. Just like aging, which was a cause and a result, immune disorders are a cause and a result. So if you have any immune disturbances in your body, this will help the imbalance between the friendly and pathogenic bacteria in favor of the pathogenic bacteria. And at the same time, when you have this imbalance and the pathogenic bacteria are overriding, then this might result in immune disturbances. A famous cause, of course, of imbalance between pathogenic and friendly bacteria in favor of the pathogenic bacteria is radiation therapy that is taken, and chemotherapy, of course, that is taken in cases of cancer. And that's why many people, after having received radiation therapy or chemotherapy will suffer from vomiting and diarrhea because the friendly bacteria are being killed and the pathogenic bacteria are overriding. Certain types of anemia, like pernicious anemia that results from a severe vitamin B12 deficiency, might result in this imbalance. Surgery affecting the colon and the gut, and altered peristalsis. Altered peristalsis means that you might have diminished peristalsis. Altered here means changed, but we mainly mean diminished peristalsis, because when we have diminished peristalsis, this means that your fecal matter will stay inside the colon for a long period of time. And if the fecal matter stays in the colon for a long period of time, then there will be more putrefaction, more fermentation, and more production of toxic products. Of course, one of the causes of imbalance of the gut flora are the liver diseases and the kidney diseases, just because any disturbance in liver function, any disturbance in kidney function will result in changes in the metabolic products or products of metabolism in the body, and would result in accumulation of toxic products, like we have seen in renal failure, accumulation of ammonia, of uric acid, of urea, and all these substances might affect the ratio of friendly to pathogenic bacteria in favor of the pathogenic bacteria. So if these are the causes of imbalance, how can we restore the balance? We can restore the balance by, number one, taking a healthy diet. As we said, an unhealthy diet favors unhealthy pathogenic bacteria. Number two, we can take certain useful bacteria orally, like, for example, lactic acid bacteria. Lactic acid bacteria are present in certain foodstuff like yogurt. And therefore, we always say that yogurt is one example of healthy food because it contains lactobacilli. And lactobacilli are the lactic acid bacteria that give acidity to the milk of yogurt and convert milk into yogurt. And these lactic acid bacteria are very beneficial, friendly flora. So the more you eat of such healthy food stuff like yogurt, the more you have of the friendly lactobacilli. Bifidobacteria is another type of bacteria that are present in breast milk, and they're not present in breast milk, but bifidobacteria are present in the colon, and breast milk contains a growth factor for these bifidobacteria. So that's why when the newly born infant who originally has these bifidobacteria in the colon receives breast milk, then the breast milk contains the growth factors that will help these friendly, helpful and beneficial bifidobacteria in the gut to flourish and increase in number. How do these bacteria, the lactobacilli and the bifidobacteria, restore the normal balance and have beneficial effect on the gut if you eat them or if you ingest them? Number one, they produce substances that diminishes putrefaction that is caused by pathogenic bacteria, that normalizes peristalsis, meaning that if peristalsis is already slow, as we said in the previous slide, they make it faster to a certain extent, and therefore increase bowel motion. And they, lactobacilli and bifidobacteria that are useful bacteria, also produce substances that stimulate and boost up your immune system and therefore help you become more healthy. So you are what you eat, and the healthier you eat, the healthier your body will be. As we said before, that all the bacteria on the surface of the body and on the lining, the mucosal lining of your body, form what we call the microbiome. And actually, when we define microbiome, we talk about the genes or the gene pool of all these bacterial flora on the surface of the skin and inside your body cavity. And although you don't see them, yet they affect your health, they affect your mood, and they affect your behavior. We said before that, for example, the gut flora produce 90% of the serotonin that is produced in your body, and that is essential for your well-being and for a good mood. And furthermore, these bacterial friendly bacterial flora that are produced in the gut, as we said before, they have like a brain talk. They have a talk to the brain, and that talk is actually a chemical talk, meaning that they secrete chemicals that are absorbed from the gut that reach your brain and that affect brain centers and affect your behavior. For example, make you be less aggressive or less nervous or less tense. And we said before that if you don't have healthy flora inside your gut, you might suffer from premature Alzheimer or premature Parkinsonism. Of course, you all know that Alzheimer's disease is a kind of brain disease that occurs in old age and that causes a type of memory loss and dementia. Whereas Parkinsonism is another disease that we have seen Parkinsonism on the video, and Parkinsonism results in tremors of the Parkinsonism. Results in coarse tremors of the hands at the beginning, and then there is gradual deterioration of brain function. So Alzheimer's disease and Parkinsonism are two types of brain diseases and central nervous system diseases that usually occur in old age, but that are accelerated or that might occur prematurely if the person has unhealthy gut flora. Probiotics are specific strains of bacteria that are that increase the healthy flora. And probiotics is a way of adding bacteria directly to your gut flora. Some probiotics add only specific types of bacteria for a specific reason. For example, if we want to treat irritable bowel syndrome. Irritable bowel syndrome is a disease of the colon. In Arabic, we say qawlun asabi. So irritable bowel syndrome, one of the reasons or one of the theories for irritable bowel syndrome is that you have a defect in certain friendly flora, friendly bacteria. So there are specific probiotics, specific medications that you take, specific pills that you take, and that contain specific species of bacteria that help cure irritable bowel syndrome. There are other specific probiotics that are taken or ingested or prescribed in order to control weight, because we have watched in the video that you might crave for certain types of food, of unhealthy food that makes you obese just because you have unhealthy bacteria that love fatty food. So the probiotics can be probiotic foods, like we have said, yogurt, for example, that contains the bacteria themselves, or probiotic supplements. But the supplements means a medication or pills that you take. So the main idea of probiotics is that they directly contain the bacteria. Either you eat food like yogurt that contains the healthy bacteria, or you take pills, which we call probiotic supplements, that contain the bacteria. Yogurt is not the only type of food that contains the healthy bacteria that is considered a probiotic, but we also have a German type of food that is called sauerkraut, that consists of raw cabbage that is fermented and that also acts as a good probiotic. On the other hand, we have prebiotics. Prebiotics do not contain the bacteria like probiotics, but they help growth of the bacteria, of the good bacteria, at the expense of the harmful bacteria. What are good examples of prebiotics? Good examples of prebiotics are plant fibers, vegetables, and plant fibers like the ones present in vegetables or in fruits. So vegetables and fruits are not bacteria. They do not contain bacteria like yogurt and sauerkraut. So we cannot consider them probiotics, but they are food for good bacteria. So when you eat a lot of fibers in vegetables and fruits, you are indirectly helping the good bacteria to flourish. So probiotics act directly, whereas prebiotics act indirectly. And there are a third group that are called synbiotics, and synbiotics contain both probiotics and prebiotics. We will stop here, and you will be receiving another video for new slides on infection control very soon. Thank you.